Now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
Boy, that hour went fast, didn't it? It's 6:06. It's O'Connor and Company, Tuesday, the 7th day of January. Thanks for tuning in here on our program, and thanks for letting us be part of your morning routine. Coming up, throughout this hour, we're going to check in with the District Department of Transportation as well as Northern Virginia VDOT spokespeople about how our roads are looking, whether we've been iced over overnight, and what you need to worry about if you are driving in, if you have to venture out. Then at 7:05, Cully Stimson will join us about those 11 terrorists that Biden just released from Gitmo. 7:35, Admiral John Knoll. He's the president of the Navy Memorial. We'll talk about how the Navy Memorial will have a role in President Carter's state funeral. At 8:05, Newt Gingrich, and at 8:35, now Gardner on all things British Commonwealth. That includes Canada. And I know you're going to ask him about the Meghan Markle documentary.
Of course. Documentary, cooking show.
Or cooking show series, whatever it is. That's Julie Gunlock. I'm Larry O'Connor. So Sunday night, you are. You're Julie Gunlock. Why are you giving me a face? She's always given me a face.
I'm sorry. I was looking at something else. I see. I know, my face.
I thought maybe I got your name wrong.
I have a terrible resting.
You're very
face.
expressive.
Yes.
No, it's a good thing. Your husband and your children never have to guess what's really going on with mom.
I don't play poker.
Sunday night was the Golden Globes. This is weird. I used to love award shows so much.
Yeah.
And it's like I woke up yesterday morning and it was like, oh my gosh, the Golden Globes. And we had such a busy news cycle yesterday with the snow and the commute and the roads and the J6 and the traffic. It's like, it didn't really make the cut out. And we've gone back and looked at some of the things that the MC, comedian Nikki Glaser, did. And she was fantastic, I have to say. I'm really impressed with some of this stuff. I think Chris Plant focused on a little bit of this yesterday during the show, but I do want to draw your attention to a couple of the moments here. We'll start with cut 5. So I guess she does roasts. She's sort of. Did you see the woman who did the roast of CNN live on the air with Anderson Cooper and Andy Cohen? And it's like, she said, I'm performing to theaters full of 3,000 people now, which is about CNN's ratings on any given night. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it really is.
So Nikki Glaser, here, take a listen to this, cut 5.
Some of you may know me as a stand-up comedian and from my appearances on Roast, but I am not here to roast you tonight. I want you to know that. And how could I, really? You're all so famous, so talented, so powerful. I mean, you could really do anything. I mean, except tell the country who to vote for. But it's okay. You'll get them next time, if there is one.
I like that. And by that little dig there was actually joking at them, claiming we're never going to have enough selection. That was not a dig at Trump. Apparently, she comes from sort of the Greg Gutfeld club of comedians. Gutfeld surrounds himself with a lot of good sort of edgy, creative thinking comedians there in New York, and she used to appear on Red Eye.
She did, and actually on the 5 yesterday, Greg Gutfeld sort of, took a victory lap there, and which he deserves. I mean, he does attract really smart people on his top-rated show, nighttime comedy show. So good for him, and I mean, again, I think that she got her start there, but she has widespread appeal, and maybe a little bit that was the Golden Globes intent, was to get someone a little less hostile to the right. Given the election.
Well, funny you should say that, because, of course, the most infamous opening monologue of all time for the Golden Globes was Ricky Gervais, who went out there with a cocktail and just said, screw it, they're never going to invite me back. And by the way, they haven't invited him back, but it was just so stinging. And by the way, taking a page from Ricky Gervais, cut 6 here, listen to this joke from Nikki Glaser.
I really think this is going to be a very memorable evening, and maybe not even in the way that you think. I predict 5 years from now, when you're watching old clips of this show on YouTube, you'll see someone in one of the crowd shots and you'll go, oh my God, that was before they caught that guy. We could be making history tonight, and we don't even know with who.
I love that they're laughing, but I don't think they completely get the joke.
No, I don't. And I think, but I think there are probably some out there that are sitting there like, oh God, how many Diddy parties did I go to? Is it on film? Right?
Thank you.
And honestly, there was a story that came out a couple of months ago about there being a bidding war in Hollywood over photos and videos from Diddy's parties, that people were paying millions of dollars to obtain the photos and videos of them attending just in the crowd, because they did not want to deal with it.
Right. Well, 100%. And again, and to tell jokes about that in the room with that audience, I mean, she deserves quite a bit of credit.
It's Gervaisian.
Yes. Well, and then this was my favorite moment, actually, that we discovered. This happened halfway through the show.
So much has already happened in the first half, and the acceptance speeches have been on fire. Who got shouted out the most? Let's look at the numbers. All right, cast and crew are leading the way with 11 mentions. Moms are holding strong with 3 shout-outs. God, creator of the universe, 0 mention.
Oh, all right. There's a little bit more to the joke, but and they have a whole graphic there, like it's a sports channel doing the halftime report there.
It's awesome.
Yes, casting crew 11 mentions, moms 3 mentions, God 0. God. I love that she had to identify God. God, creator of the universe. But then she goes on. That's already a great joke. And then...
And Mario Lopez, host of Access Hollywood, won. All right. No surprise in this godless town.
Come on.
She's
That's
good.
Exactly
She's
what
good.
she wants. She is good. She's never going to work in that town again.
No.
She's going to be, that whole, 7-picture deal she was hoping to secure.
One little note. She's this comedian who, I agree, did a great job, and she's got a bright future, but she's kind of an unknown. I always say, I always use my husband as sort of this bellwether. If he doesn't know who this person is, it means like the pop culture has not sort of seeped into the regular world. Because I feel like
sure. Although I will point out, your husband is hardly the target audience for the Golden Globe Awards.
That's true. That's true. But
sure.
But he's also not terminally online, and I feel like, but he sure as heck knows who Ricky Gervais is, and he knows who Chris Rock is, and so apparently this woman, this was in the New York Post, is complaining that she wasn't paid as much as previous hosts, and she's gonna kind of cite sexism for that, because she said, as I wasn't paid the same amount as male hosts. Look, I know it's really tempting to go down that road as a woman, like, it's sexism, right? I'm so talented, I should get paid the most. No. If you don't have that name recognition, if you don't pull in billions of dollars through movie making, you're just not. If you don't have a hit TV show like Ricky Gervais, you're probably not going to pull in that kind of money. So I just want to note that, because that's sort of a story.
We don't need that from Nikki Glaser. You're right. This was an opportunity for her to showcase her talent. She's not a known quantity. By the way, didn't Tina Fey and Amy Poehler host the Golden Globes for a couple of? Because I dare say they drew a pretty good paycheck.
I'm sure
since they both had high-profile, award-winning, high-rated sitcoms on NBC. So if it turns out that Amy Poehler and Tina Fey were also snubbed, then yes, she's right. Hollywood is sexist, 100% sexist. Hollywood's horribly sexist. Yeah, so that either way, it's an insult to the left. 6:15.
WMAL.
Making sense of the news.
Live
from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios.
Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
We actually have a little bit more of the Golden Globes there, what was said on the red carpet. We'll get to that a little later in the program. Right now, though, way too busy with VDOT. Ellen Kamalakis, she covers everything on the roads for Northern Virginia. Ellen, we survived yesterday's snowpocalypse 2025, but oftentimes it's the day after the snow falls that can be kind of dicey. How's it looking out there?
Well, first, good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning to Julie.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's looking pretty good. I'm very cautious to say it looks good than for everybody to say, okay, great, I'm going to go out on the roads today. But we're really pleased with our progress. We still have about 2,700 trucks out in the district treating, including the subdivision streets. But you are absolutely right. The refreeze is an issue, and you were talking just now about the wind gusts today, which are great in one way because they help dry out anything that was melted, but then they're bad in another way because they bring down trees and branches, which cause more road closures.
Yeah.
So it's always fun. It's always fun here at VDOT. But the good news is we have really capable crews that they can pretty much treat anything that happens on the roads.
So what about people on the roads? Have you seen a return? I know it's just the morning, but like last night, were people on the roads? What's the volume like?
It's interesting that you asked that. I did see numbers in passing, and I don't have them on me, but they were substantial decreases in traffic volume yesterday. So people were absolutely staying off the roads, and we're anticipating with OPM being closed and school systems being closed again, that we're going to have the same, which again gives us another day to really just sort of have at it. The continued refreeze is an issue for us. So we tell people, if you are absolutely going to go out, which we don't want you to do, take it very, very slow. You know, ice is never nice. There's no strategy to driving on ice, and it's just not a good look if you don't have to go out.
Ellen, I just have a quick, Larry, I'm sorry, I have a really quick follow-up on this. I saw yesterday out my back window, you know, it must have been 30 kids playing, and it was great. I was glad to see the kids outside, snowmen, snowball fights, all that. But some of them were in the street, actually sliding down the street. Are you hearing reports of sort of fears of hitting kids, the plows and other? I felt like these kids should get out of the road. What are you hearing about that? Because I think people kind of act sometimes like it's a free-for-all out there.
Well, I mean, that's really any adult driver, whether it be in, DC or Maryland or Virginia. But yeah, no, we haven't heard of that being any kind of wholesale issue. I mean, I think kids do those kinds of things. Think about the kinds of things we did as children, which thank God there was no social media at that time. But no, it is exercise caution, and plow trucks are huge and heavy, and they don't stop on a dime. So that's actually a really good reminder. Parents, let the kiddos outside, but not in VDOT's right of way, please.
Yep.
So Julie lives on a relatively busy street, a very busy street, in fact, on one side of your house. On the other side, it's more of a tightened side. So I grew up in a subdivision in Michigan in the snow, and it was our birthright to play in the road. That was because a lot of
Ellen, there's going to be a fight.
So
we played hockey in our street. Yeah, come on.
Nothing to you if you're like Michigan. Come on.
What's the point of being a kid? I do want everybody to know, by the way, that Metro is operating on a severe snow plan again today. So they have, just that minimum level of buses rolling, and they'll continue to increase buses as the road conditions develop. And I guess that's really the big question, as you guys are able to get out there and clean up more roads as you go. Have you made it down to sort of the more suburban, tight, rural streets, or are you still obviously prioritizing the main arteries?
Well, we've been in the subdivision since yesterday afternoon. We haven't necessarily been in every single one because we have more than 17,000 subdivision streets in our district, but they have definitely been in there. They've made substantial progress on interstates and primaries, and even like some of the high volume secondaries are completely done. So it really is painstaking work within the neighborhoods because we have to use smaller vehicles to be able to navigate in there and not be really, really heavy on that thickness of asphalt. But so it takes a little bit longer, where you can get a good clip going in a triaxle on the interstate where you can't necessarily on curves. And as Julie said, with children potentially running around out there.
We've got Charlie Gishler from Maryland coming up, and we're going to speak with somebody from the D.C. Department of Transportation. You guys have a rivalry, though, right? I mean, like, if their roads aren't as clean as yours, do you sort of like send them a DM saying, "Hey, how's that beet juice crap working out for you?"
No, actually, we don't have a rivalry with D.C. We always have that joke with Maryland about Maryland drivers, and so that's I mean, it's fact, but it's not. Trust me,
it's not a joke.
It's drivers and. They're terrible drivers in Virginia. So that's, everybody is terrible. So.
Ellen, we try to unify the entire region here. We do have a lot of differences, and you're right about Maryland drivers. I'm one of them. But can we at least all agree that the worst drivers are from New Jersey? I mean, let's bond on that.
I will say yes to that, and possibly Massachusetts. But Massachusetts, they're so accurate with what they're doing. So, and I keep saying New Jersey because my mother is from up there. So I get a pass with that.
More. Ellen, thank you so much. I know you got a busy day at VDOT. I appreciate you sharing some time with us.
Okay, thanks, guys. Be safe today.
It's 6:23. Do you want certainty your home will...
Now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
WMAL. 6:37 now. O'Connor and Company. Thanks for tuning in here to our morning extravaganza. Coming up in just a few moments, we're going to check in with the D.C. government on how the roads are looking in the district. If you have to get in here today, we want to make sure that you're safe and sound. Then at 7:05, Cully Stimson is going to join us about the 11 terrorists just released from Gitmo. Back during the George W. Bush administration, Cully had a role in the Pentagon with some of the terrorist prisoners down in Cuba. Then at 7:35, Admiral John Knoll of the Navy Memorial talk about plans for the Carter State funeral. At 8:05, Newt Gingrich, and then at 8:35, our pal Now Gardner on all things Britain and the Commonwealth. Yeah, he's got an opinion on Canada. So do we all. It's Julie Gunlock with Larry O'Connor. Julie.
Good morning.
Good morning. Speaking of the Commonwealth, at the Golden Globes, a lot of the discussion was about what we were talking about last week. This outrageous new making of Meghan Markle as some sort of Martha Stewart type character who has the perfect home with the perfect kitchen and perfect recipes with perfect friends that come in and talk about how perfect their lives are. And you just want to, honestly, I mean, I'm not a violent person, but I would like to take a machete to all of them. It's the worst.
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like cooking shows are the last vestige of sort of losers or those on the decline.
Really? Because I've been thinking about starting a cooking show. Thanks for that.
No. I don't. Look,
I'm kidding.
I mean
joke.
those that. Okay. I mean. Folks in Hollywood that are big names. Trisha Yearwood, for instance. Okay, she had this incredible country singing career, and the latest is you can find her on the Food Network. By the way, she has the worst knife skills. Every time I watch her show, which I've only watched it like twice, I constantly feel like it's going to be that Dan Aykroyd, Julia Child parody where he chops his finger off. Yes. Oh my gosh. And again, because anybody who has a modicum of fame can get a cooking show on Food Network. And this is how I see this Meghan Markle thing. It's like, let's just try a cooking show.
You'll remember we played the trailer. I triggered Patrice with it last week because she's a former subject of The Crown. Mindy Kaling, former cast member of The Office, and then she went off and produced her own Hulu series, and she's sort of a favorite of the Hollywood libs. She appears in this. Cut 9A here as Mindy Kaling with Meghan Markle.
What? This is probably one of the most glamorous moments of my life.
It's magic.
There you go.
Calm
one of the most
down.
glamorous. Which, by the way, please, come on. You used to work with Steve Carell. That was more glamorous every day than working with Meghan Markle. All right, so Mindy Kaling was at the Golden Globes. They caught her on the red carpet and asked her about this. Cut 10.
We saw you in the Meghan Markle lifestyle trailer for Netflix. What did she cook? What's the best part of having her as a friend? Is it the chef?
I mean, I had my baby, and I think I was like 2 months postpartum, and she texted me and was like, do you want to be in my show? And when you hang out with Meghan, you know the food is going to be good. And so it's just nice to have someone else be cooking for me. And I was like, I'll come to Montecito and have you cook for me and go to your garden. And that's what we did.
Listen to how she's downplaying this. All right, first of all, I was suffering from postpartum depression.
Exactly.
All right,
yes,
so don't blame me. I was, you know how your hormones have a letdown. I was having issues nursing. It was a weak moment, okay? It was a weak moment.
That's exactly what I took from it. She's just like, look, it was a really busy time in my life. I needed a day off.
So the whole idea is that the cameras get this peek into the life of Meghan Markle. What's it like to live like Meghan Markle? What's her house look like? What's her kitchen look like? Here's the thing. It's not her house.
It's not her house.
They rented a house, an $8 million mansion, to work as the film set for her to do this reality show that's not reality.
Well, and also Meghan Markle has sort of pitched this as the authentic me. I don't want this to be perfect. I'm looking for joy. We know how looking for joy worked out for another prominent African American woman, right? So, I don't know why she's going with that tagline. But the other thing, Larry, I will say is, can we also talk about how Meghan Markle is booking her own guests?
That's right.
Okay, can we Seriously.
No one from Netflix can pick up the phone and get people lined up.
Did she not know that Heather Hunter exists, the executive producer? Like, these people exist. Right. There is a profession of people who are like in charge of shows, right? You're the host.
We have a more professional infrastructure here on O'Connor and Company to book guests than the Duchess of Sussex. Is that who she's the Duchess of? Sussex? Oh, Lordy. Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. I have not watched this. Is it officially out yet? Because I did want to
No, it's not. It is not out yet. It has been, this is sort of the lead up to it. But again, all of these leaks, people realizing that, oh my gosh, this is not her own Montecito.
It's not her home
mansion. She's rented, and they do this. This has come out before, where they rent these mansions.
Yes, all getting leaked beforehand. It's 2 miles from her own house, and the Daily Mail wrote it up, so this is all in pounds, but you'll get the picture. It's got a 15,000-pound range oven. It's got 600-pound pans and chopping boards. Chopping boards are 60 pounds each. Well, I mean, for a good cutting board, that's about appropriate, I suppose, if it's going to be there a while. Anyway, the point is, this reality show that she's doing is the furthest thing from reality. It's all a fraud, as she is, and we're here for it. We can't wait to watch this show. We should have a viewing party. We should all watch it online together.
And we should have, things like queso and, beanie weenies and, all the very American...
we eat our
pigs and blankets and stuff like that.
No, not just American. We can go European. Vienna sausage. Absolutely. 6:43. So O'Connor and Company here on WMAL with Larry O'Connor and Julie Gunlock. And Julie, I didn't see reports of widespread chaos in Washington, D.C. yesterday with the roads and the snow. Maybe people actually heard our advice and stayed home.
Maybe.
Except for the snowball fight. Joining us right now is Sharon Kirschbaum. She's the director of DDOT. How great is it to go to work at a place called DDOT? It sounds like, the Willy Wonka chocolate factory. It's the District Department of Transportation. Sharon, thank you for joining us. Am I right? Did everybody behave themselves yesterday?
We are feeling so positive about how things have been going. We have asked from the onset for people to be patient. We have a lot going on this week. Yesterday with we wanted to make sure the joint congressional session could go through with their certification. We have the Jimmy Carter funeral events this week. So we really wanted to make sure that our major roadways got cleared, that everything around the mall was cleared. And we've really started last night when the snow stopped to focus on the residential roads. So we've been working in phases. Our teams have been working around the clock since Sunday at noon, and we are now really at the final push. Hopefully people will see that their roads are opening up. We just need probably the rest of the day today, and then we'll be back in action.
God really does have a great sense of humor, right? Congress back in session, Electoral College certification, a state funeral for Jimmy Carter, and then in 13 days, the inauguration. Perfect time for a giant snowstorm.
So fun, yes. And Mother Nature is not helping us with these temperatures. So this snow is going to stick around. I think we're used to getting some sun and some temperatures to help melt it along, but the snow is going to be sticking around for a while. So hopefully people will be mindful as they dig out their cars not to throw it back onto sidewalks or newly cleared roads, because that's not going to help.
The wind conditions up to 30, 35 miles an hour today, what does that do for your efforts and also just for drivers? Listen, many of our listeners are essential personnel. They've got to get in today. They've got to get, and we need them to get there. How does the wind hamper that, Sharon?
I mean, the winds and the temperature just means that even when the snow is removed, we're always going to have some risk of icing. And as I mentioned, it's a phased approach. So once we do clear the snow, even if it looks like it's blacktop, it could be slick. So we have to come back again around with snow and with salt and chemical. So it's going to take a while for things to really be safe. So if you do need to drive, please give yourself extra time and be mindful of the slickness.
Sharon, I don't know how it works in terms of school closures, but certainly the Department of Transportation has a role in advising schools on the conditions and whether buses can get through certain areas. Does it look like most streets are passable for buses, or is it still too slick out there? And especially
Julie wants the kids out of the house tomorrow.
That's right.
Okay?
I want the kids to go back to school, Sharon.
Exactly.
Do me a
She's
favor.
had enough. Sharon.
We all do. So the decision about closures involves, it's a broad team. And so we do meet with the regular cadence with the city administrator and the mayor. And it also includes the consideration of, are the salt, is there a clear in front of the schools? Can we access the schools? But even can the bus drivers get in to get to the buses? Because they do usually leave around 3 or 4 a.m. So the decision was made that really today we're not going to be ready. I am very optimistic that we'll be back in action tomorrow.
There you go. Very optimistic. We'll take it. All right. Sharon Kirschbaum, thank you so much for joining us from DDOT.
Thanks. Stay warm and be safe.
Reynolds and Power Home team with Keller Williams, they specialize in selling homes that didn't sell the first time around. That's right. You can get a free no-obligation marketing audit to determine why your home didn't sell and find out for yourself why so many families choose Reynolds and Power Home team. I'm sure you're wondering how they do it. What makes Debbie and Sarah different? Well, their success stems from the fact that they already have well-qualified buyers in waiting. Now, this translates to less time, less hassle, and more money in your pocket. Debbie and Sarah have developed exclusive home seller programs that simply can't be offered by other agents. And the result, they net their sellers 6.1% more, and they sell twice as fast as their competitors. If your home doesn't sell, Debbie and Sarah will buy it. That's their guarantee to you. Call them now. Find out more about that and other guarantees. 844-344-SOLD. 844-344-SOLD or DebbieHasTheBuyers.com.